Hello, it's me, Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist. And have you ever wondered why people have such a deep belief in a God, especially later in life? As children, they don't really think about God. They accept that God is real and they just go about their business accepting that because they're children and they believe what they're told. But later on in life, they will develop a stronger belief that there is a God. Now, I have found, it has been my experience, it has been the stories that I've heard, that many people later in life find a deep-seated need for there to be God because as children or younger in life or even a little later on, they've suffered some sort of trauma. Either they were alcoholics or drug addicts or were abused, either as children or adolescents or even young adults. But they've suffered some sort of event or traumatic experience that has disabled their ability to believe that they can handle life on their own terms, that they have lost the ability to believe in themselves, and they start to believe that they need a higher power. They need something else to put the responsibility of their life into. And quite often, that's God. Because if you can't be in control, if you cannot be responsible, somebody needs to be responsible. And who better than an omniscient, omnipresent deity? Because, let's face it, if you're not in charge, somebody needs to be, and why not a God? Well, it saddens me when I hear stories of this. Because I just want to say, grow up. I just want to say, you are in charge. You are responsible for your own actions. And believing that there's a God is just a cop-out. It's a crutch. It is putting that responsibility outside of yourself. And grow up. But, you can't say that to people because they don't understand that. It's like telling a drug addict that they don't need drugs. Deep down they know they don't need drugs, but they think the drugs are helping them. Or alcohol. They feel they are powerless against the effects of alcohol. They need something to get them out. They need a higher power to save them because they cannot be held responsible for their actions because their actions are not their own. There does not need to be a God. But people believe there needs to be God to explain life's hardships. They need to believe that there is a plan, a greater story that they're just playing along with. That any trauma that happened to them, any hardships that have happened to them, they feel there needs to be God to explain why those things happened. Because to take responsibility upon themselves is just too much for them to bear. Now, that's not true for everyone who believes there is a God. A lot of people, they just like the idea of God, or they feel that they've had a calling. And, I don't want to generalize, but it's much easier to generalize because I can't explain the story of billions of people who think there's a God. But there is no God. There is no plan. There is no greater purpose. This is just life, and everything can be explained. And just because you cannot understand it does not mean it cannot be explained. Just because it is beyond your comprehension, or even beyond everyone's comprehension, doesn't mean there needs to be a God to explain it. God has been used to explain everything in the universe, till something else, more naturalistic, explains it. And we've gotten to the point where most things we understand. And there are a few things that we don't understand. And people still fall in the crutch of, well, then it must have been God. That's our proof of God. That's the evidence for God. No, it's not. There is no evidence for God. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean there's evidence for God. And just because your life had hardships doesn't mean a God has a plan for you. I mean, there's nothing more distressful to me than somebody who has survived an accident or some great devastation where many people die and they say, oh, but God spared me, God saved me. Because that's basically saying God killed everyone else but me. That's so insensitive. It makes my blood boil, and I cringe at the idea that somebody actually believes that God saved them while killing everyone else. So just because people need to believe there is a God does not mean there is a God that needs to exist. Anyways, I'm Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist, and that's why I think people believe in God. I don't want to say they're crazy, but catch you next time.